What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the greatest vlog in the world. My name is André, your favorite filmmaker in Madeira. Filmmaker? Doesn't sound as good as tour guide, right? This time, I'm gonna be the host of today's video. Jeff is actually on holiday in Porto Santo. Can you imagine? In Porto Santo, just swimming around, taking the sun, and here, it's not quite as sunny. But today we have a very special video just for you. We're gonna talk about some stories, some interesting stories around Funchal. And we're here in the Jardim Municipal. And this apparently used to be a coat of arms that was above the entrance of a monastery that existed here in Jardim Municipal. It was called São Francisco Monastery, Mosteiro de São Francisco, and unfortunately it was demolished in the 1800s. But now we have a green lung in the middle of the city, so it's not as bad. It didn't turn out as bad as some other buildings that we're gonna explore today. But without further ado, let's go for the first story, just right around the corner. Come with me. All right, story number one. Right next to Jardim Municipal, where the monastery used to be, there was this building that's still standing to this day, but not in its entirety. It's Solar de Dona Messia, and it's very interesting that this place has a woman's name instead of a man's name. You know how stuff was back in the day. Messia de Vasconcelos was the widow of Manuel Ferreira Drummond, and at the end of the 1600s, something happened to Dona Messia. I'm here with Luisa from Free Walking Tours, and for those of you who have been following the channel for a while, you know that we do these kinds of videos sometimes. We already did one in Machico, one in Câmara de Lobos, and now here in Funchal. Luisa, what can you tell us about this very peculiar story about the death of Dona Messia?
Well, the story says that once she was in the window, looking at the landscape probably, and there was a friar from the monastery a bit further back that was trying to shoot a kestrel, a bird of prey. But instead of actually hitting the kestrel, he hit Dona Messia right above the eye, and, well, she died. And the house got her name after this.
It's interesting how something like this happens just like that. Let's try to, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, this is a story that could easily be inside a series or a film, right?
Yes, the mysteries of Funchal.
The mysteries of Funchal, and Dona Messia is surely a mystery to this day. And it's interesting, this building belonged to several other people throughout history. And in the 1950s, unfortunately, a fire broke out, and most of what was inside this building was completely lost to time. And after some renovations here and there, they, I believe, after the fire, there was a cinema here around this place. It was called Cine Jardim. Do you remember this at all? It was before your time as well, right?
I'm probably a bit older than you, but I don't remember. I just know it as it is today, as the ASIF, also the Promotion Association of Madeira, of the tourism in Madeira, and as a cafe. That's all I know, but you're the filmmaker.
I'm the
so
filmmaker.
You probably remember the cinema better than
Well,
me.
I don't remember because it was before my time, but actually my father keeps telling me the films that he used to watch in this cinema. And it's interesting to have this backdrop, right? Because the story around this is worthy of a film. Story number two, just right around the corner again. We're just in the same area, apparently, in the center of Funchal. This is a Scottish church, more specifically a Presbyterian church. And there's a story around this that's very interesting from the 1800s. And Luisa, please tell us. There's apparently a doctor called Robert Reed Cowie that was heavily involved with this church, right?
Yes, Dr. Kelly, he's a Scottish doctor, as you said, and he arrived to Madeira in 1838 with his wife, and they did a great job in the 8 years that they were here. Dr. Kelly, he founded quite a lot of schools. He ended up creating schools for about 2,000 Madeiran people, for grown-ups, for children that just didn't have any contact with any sort of education back then. He also created hospitals for the poor people, and he would always treat them for free. After a while, the population and the Bishop of Funchal, they were not very happy, because he was also teaching Madeiran people the Protestant faith, and back then Portuguese people could only be Roman Catholics.
Wow, what a crazy law that was, right?
Yes, there was only religious freedom for foreigners. So the Bishop of Funchal wasn't very happy that there was already about 4,000 people, I believe, 4,000 Madeiran people that were actually practicing Protestantism. So he ended up being persecuted. First, he ended up running away to another area in Madeira, to Santo da Serra. But that didn't go his way either, because he continued his work over there, and then he actually ended up being persecuted to the point that he had to leave the island.
And apparently one of the things that he did was to just give people Portuguese Bibles, right? Because back then people only had the contact with the Bible in the church, and usually it was in Latin, maybe,
yes.
So people couldn't understand really what was in the Bible. And Robert Reed Cowie just gave people Bibles.
Yes, and that was also one of the claims of the Church, of the Catholic Church, is that the translations were not well done, and it was under the Protestant light, which was not okay for the Portuguese people, and it was also one of the reasons why they started persecuting Dr. Kelly and this community.
So back then, the deep state, right? The deep state was the church, the Catholic Church. And this is a very, very interesting story, because actually most of the Robert Reed Cowie's followers actually had to leave Madeira and got exiled in the Dutch islands of the Caribbean, correct? And then later they went to the United States and ended up being in Jacksonville and Springfield in Illinois, which is a story that me and Jeff are going to dig a little bit deeper, because in the next few weeks, we're going there to find out more about this story and where the Portuguese ended up. They started some churches there. They started in the first Presbyterian church, then they went to the second and third. So they had like 3 or 4 churches there, but that's a story for another video. But this is a very good start. So thank you, Lisa, for all of this information. And yeah, let's go straight to the third one. Okay, so Lisa, this is the workout of the day. Have you been to the gym today?
No.
No? Well, this is it. This is it, apparently, right?
For you.
For me?
Not for me.
So, yeah, this rua is called Rua do Quebra-Costas, or in English, the Backbreaker Street, which is a very metal name, right? And apparently there's several streets in mainland Portugal with this nomenclature.
I've heard of people from Coimbra and also from Lisbon. I've seen the one in Lisbon actually, where they have streets named like this, and they're normally very steep, and apparently it's because it was a very common occurrence that people actually slipped and ended up hurting their back.
Wow, especially during rain, right?
Yes.
When it's raining.
I do avoid some bits over here when it's rainy, because it is indeed very slippery.
Damn, it's crazy how steep this is, right? For all of you that live in countries where everything is flat, this is different, for sure. But nice I think we're used to it, right? We're used to it.
It's nothing for us, right? It's also nice to see cars parked here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and people who live here. People who live here, right? This is all.
Yes, you know that the man that was our president for 37 years, his house.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Here.
He was born here. Okay, fun
here.
fact.
And a few months ago, when we had the political drama in Madeira, he was being interviewed a lot, and I saw him here quite a few times, and everybody here ready to interview him.
Interesting. He didn't break his back though.
No, he didn't, because he only has to walk from here to his door. So
exactly. Okay, let's keep going. All right, on to the third story. super cool. It's my first time inside Convento de Santa Clara, the Santa Clara Convent, and we already had such a great tour with the director of this place. He kept talking about all these stories and mysteries and stuff.
Stories, yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about one of those because he just told us like 3 or 4 or something. But we got to talk about the fact that the body of our first captain of Funchal, the discoverer of Madeira, João Gonçalves Jarco, is unknown. Like his sarcophagus or something is kind of missing,
yes.
right?
Yes.
What can you tell us about this story in particular?
Zarco was actually the man that ordered to build this church because it was supposed to be the place for him and his family to actually be buried. And as we learned in the 18th century, the abbess of Santa Clara, she thought that the tomb was on their way. It was inconvenient in the place there it was where it was, and they moved it. And now, for what we've been told, the body of Zarco is in an unknown place.
Because there's no documents about this moving. We just know about this. Because
we know it was removed.
Because there's a wooden box, right, that we just saw. In the Curro Alto, right? In the Curro Baixo, should I say, that has an inscription about this translation, right?
Yes,
this
they
moving.
Removed, it was put there. It was put there in the Curro Baixo. I don't know how to say this in English. It's there, and it's from the 18th century. It says it's of an unknown person, right?
It doesn't say its name.
Yes.
But it's not identified, so it's like
But it was approved to be there by the man that actually approved the moving of the body of Zarco.
This is such a crazy story. How a discoverer of an island is just removed, like the sarcophagus is just removed just because it's inconvenient, and now it's a mystery.
We don't know where it is.
Yeah, and actually the box that we just saw that possibly contains the mortal remains was never opened, so nobody actually knows that if the body is there or not. And apparently, according to the director of this place, it's a wish of them to uncover this story and open it in the near future. This place is filled with these stories, and I believe that it's a good idea to do a video just on these grounds of Santa Clara Convent, because this is huge. We haven't seen maybe a third or a fifth of everything. And it's open to visit, so if you guys are here in Funchal, please do visit.
And the church is amazing. It's very beautiful, very ornamented as well, so it's definitely worth a visit, even for non-religious people like ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going from the big religious spot to a very small one. Let's go straight to the fourth story. Let's go. From big to small. Now we're in one of the smallest chapels in Europe. It actually says here that is the smallest of the world, but I highly doubt it. What do you think? I don't think so, but apparently there's only spot for 2 people inside here.
Yes, for 1 or 2 people. Yeah, I've heard that is basically the altar and a little place for you to pray, and I think that's pretty much about it.
Even for the letters, it's like there's no space for any letters.
If you want to put it
fold the letters and just put inside there, right? So this chapel was built in 1781 by Roque José de Araújo for a very specific reason, right? Because this used to be a alley, right? A alley.
This used to before there was this road here, there used to be a convent somewhere around here that was actually demolished. So yes, there was a lot of alleyways around here, very narrow spots.
Yeah.
A lot of tall bushes and so the perfect place for people to hide and maybe commit some crimes.
Okay.
And this man,
now we're talking.
Roque Araújo, he was a businessman, a wealthy businessman, and he had helped someone else a few occasions, but at some point this man that had been helped by Roque Araújo decided to get a grudge against him. And for days in a row, he used to wait for Rocarujo to pass here because he intended to murder this man. And Rocarujo, he used to pass here all by himself, but whenever this man that wanted to kill him was waiting for him here to actually do it, Rocarujo would always come with someone else. And every night there was someone else. And it was always a big man walking beside Rocarujo. So at some point the man just gave up on killing him and went forward to tell him what his intents were, and saying that he never actually did any harm because there was always someone with him. And Rocarujo thought this was very odd because he had always passed here all by himself. But he was very devoted of the souls of the purgatory. So he believed that these people that he always prayed for protected him. So he decided to build this chapel over here because his life was saved, according to him.
Well, it's basically a private one because it's only him and the priests.
And the souls, I guess.
And the souls,
yes.
Of course, that could only fit inside here.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy, right? So the guy that wanted to murder him just got bored.
Yes, he waited him for so many nights in a row.
And he confessed to the possible
crime. And then he
crime.
just gave up because there was always somebody that would protect Rocarujo.
Man, how crazy would that be in a scene of a movie or a series? I keep dreaming about all these stories. Maybe me and Oscar, we should do something about this, right?
Yeah.
We should include these stories in some sort of weird series or something. If you're liking this video so far, please first like and subscribe to this channel, because Jeff told me to say this to you, and because it's very good for the channel and for us, but also
and because you deserve it as well.
Oh well, I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. But if you want to hear more about these stories, Luisa has her own business called Free Walking Tours Funchal.
Yes.
So please give her a visit on the website. Is it freewalkingtoursfunchal.com? .pt.
Yes.
Okay, and book some tours with her, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, because Funchal has, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these kinds of stories. So please give her a follow on Instagram as well, and book tours with her. All right, let's go to the final one.
Let's go.
Final one, let's go. Behind me is Museu Cidade do Açúcar. So it's the Sugar City Museum. And right beside it, there's a street called Rua do Esmeraldo Street. And in this street, there used to be this building called Casa do Esmeraldo, also known as Columba's House. And we're gonna get to that in a few minutes. But before that, I want to talk to you about the fact that the sugarcane industry was one of the main industries in the beginning of the colonization. Actually, before the sugarcane, it was wheat, I think. And before it was wheat, sugarcane, and after the sugarcane, then later became Madeira wine and stuff like that. But for many years, sugarcane was regnant, right? It reigned in the mines of
the white gold.
It was the white gold, yes. So Esmeraldo, also known as Jean Esmenot, was a Flemish merchant that came to Madeira to develop this industry, and alongside him, a lot of Italians from Genoa and Florence came here as well to develop it. And it's interesting because this building, it was from the 1400s or around late 1400s, early 1500s, and it got demolished in the 1876, if I'm not mistaken, just because the city hall just decided to demolish it. And in the 90s, in 1997, if I'm not mistaken again, some archaeological works happened in this area, and the findings are in this museum. You can see the pictures, the old pictures of this building, and the window is now currently in Quinta da Palmeira in Santa Luzia. It's São Pedro, Santa Luzia, São Gonçalo, sometimes.
Too many saints.
Too many things. Actually, some people say that these windows, this one and another one that's on that side, are from that building in Rua do Esmeraldo, but it's actually not. That's that's an error that people think that these come from there, but actually these come from an old hospital that was in front of Golden Gate. Yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting that I keep forgetting that name. I don't know why. And Golden Gate is such a very well-known place.
The oldest cafe in Funchal.
The oldest cafe in Funchal.
Yes.
Interesting, and still to this day it's opened.
It's open.
But it
not with
stayed
great
closed
quality.
for a while, right?
It closes several times, but fortunately they reopen now, and yes, hopefully we'll have our grand cafe there. It's emblematic, and it's nice to have it there.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, people, don't confuse these windows for that window from that building, okay? How come this house was also known as the Columbus House?
Well, Christopher Columbus, he was married to a local, to Filipa Muniz. She was one of the daughters of the first governor of Porto Santo. So he married her, and he lived at least a couple of years in Porto Santo. There's still a house there that is known as the Columbus House because it is believed that was the place where he lived. But when he was coming back from his third trip, coming back from the New World, he stopped in Madeira, and he was a guest. He was accommodated in João Esmeralda's house for while he was here on the island, recovering and getting ready to the rest of the trip back to Spain.
Okay, how suspicious is that when he comes back to America, from America, should I say, he doesn't go straight to Spain.
The Spanish, yes.
He comes straight to Portugal.
to
Is
the
it
enemy.
Madeira, mainland?
Yes, yes.
How? I mean, it's interesting because, and we were talking off camera about this, I remember being taught in school that Columbus was Portuguese.
Yes. I honestly don't remember what I learned in school about Columbus, but there is a huge debate still nowadays about his nationality. I know that it's a bit biased, but I've read a lot of Portuguese documents claiming that he's Portuguese. Actually, many documents claim that he was an illegitimate grandson of Zarco. There is a town in mainland Portugal called Cuba that was already named Cuba before Cuba in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean, yeah.
And people from Cuba, they tell you with all their certainty that Columbus was born there. So
And there's a museum as well there about all of that. There's
yes.
statues all
There's
around.
a statue, yes, and there's even an American documentary that passed in that city, and they talked with historians from there, well, looking into this possibility of Columbus being Portuguese.
And apparently Christopher Columbus wasn't his real name, right?
No, one of the things that is believed is that, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory is not failing,
Salvador,
that his
right?
name was Salvador Gonçalves.
Gonçalves.
Yes,
Wow.
Gonçalves, which, and we also know that our
Interesting.
first discoverer is named João Gonçalves Zarco. So yeah, it's a very interesting possibility, and I hope that one day they will figure out what was his true
Well,
nationality.
I still believe that he's Portuguese because I mean, yeah, coming to Madeira, living in Porto Santo, you know, and marrying to a Madeiran woman. I mean, if he's
And
not Portuguese,
a noble,
a
girl
noble Madeiran
and,
woman.
a simple sailor would not be able to marry a high nobility girl.
Exactly, that's very weird. That doesn't happen often or doesn't happen at all. So, I mean, if he's not Portuguese, I mean, marrying to a Madeiran woman, at least he has great taste, okay? At least he has that. And that's basically it. So, yeah, I hope you liked it. Leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you found this interesting and if you know any other stories that you heard about Funchal or about Madeira, and let us know. That's it. Oscar?
Let's hit the road.
Let's hit the road. And next video, Jeff will come back, okay? Don't worry, this is not permanent. But if you like more videos like this, I'm up for the challenge. And I think Luisa would like to do more. Maybe Caleta.
Thank you. Well,
Maybe Caleta,
yes,
maybe...
you have to tell me in advance so I can prepare. But,
Exactly,
thank you
because...
for the challenges. Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.